Hello, here's a preview of the threatened lorry queue that will become a permanent feature of the landscape in Kent after Brexit. What wasn't pointed out in the article, and this is the Telegraph, you should have known better, is that the trucks will either be empty or they'll contain goods, some of them from Ireland, which will be on their way to continental Europe, and the owners of the trucks will be mostly EU logistics companies. And the delays will be due to EU customs regulations. So here we are again, we see EU regulations punishing EU business. It's great, isn't it? And nobody notices. I wonder how long it's going to take before businesses start noticing and kicking up a fuss with their own politicians to do something about this. They're the ones who are going to be kept waiting for the goods to arrive from the UK, and no, they can't all so easily be replaced from other EU sources. It doesn't work like that in reality. Unless the British government's remarkably stupid, it isn't going to impede the movement of goods into the United Kingdom, but there's no knowing what they're going to do. The argument against letting goods in from the EU free of tariffs is that goods from everywhere else in the world will also have to be let in free of tariffs. And there have been all sorts of threats and scares about how British industry and farming will collapse if that were to happen. That's not true either. The main effect of unilateral free trade is that the countries which don't reciprocate end up being worse off. Their governments are preventing their own people from gaining access to British goods and services. The balance of payments deficit that will build up means that the real goods have come into Britain, and the foreign countries who've restricted the British imports end up with pieces of plastic with pictures of the Queen on them, which can only be spent in Britain, or they'll have to sell those pieces of plastic to people in countries whose governments are not restricting in that way. They're doing themselves no good by blocking imports from the UK. I suppose the reality might dawn, who knows? Why does the European Union want to restrict goods from Britain anyway? Well, it started off with chlorinated chicken. There was this image presented of flocks of chlorinated chicken descending on the pristine fields of the Emerald Isle and contaminating it. And then it was pointed out that European Union chicken, which isn't chlorinated, is contaminated with salmonella and campylobacter, which can make people quite ill. So then the argument was shifted a bit and it became an issue of animal cruelty, because American farmers are so much more cruel to their animals than European farmers, who are prevented from being cruel by the European Union's regulations. Here we are, this broiler house. It was illustrated in a Guardian article. That must have been before the referendum and before the Guardian became the leading evangelist for the EU religion. Here's an article about antibiotic use in Britain. This is a Dutch broiler house. This is a Danish nursing pig. Nursing pigs who are feeding their piglets would naturally make a nest for their young. They wouldn't lie on a hard surface. And this is a Warwickshire pig farm. So much for the wonderful protection that the EU gives to its farm animals.